What does it take to build a client business to $120,000 per year? Let's talk about that today. So you want to build a client business, whether it's copywriting or marketing services or something else, and you have a goal. Now this is more of like a solopreneur type goal. Maybe your goal is much bigger. Maybe your goal is much smaller, but still this process is going to absolutely apply. And maybe $120,000 is just a milestone for you on your way to something bigger. So I just finished recording milestone 4 of the Client Getting Blueprint. This is like a super in-depth training of the entire process of launching, building, and scaling a client business. And the milestone 4 represents the final part of launching your client business. And one particular lesson in there, one particular illustration actually to me like jumped out as something, hey, it would be worth recording just a public video on this. And it's called the specific process of building a $120,000 a year client business. And let me share my screen with you here, and you'll be able to check it out. So this is the mind map, and I'm not going to share everything about it, but I want to dive into the specific process of building a $120,000 a year client business. And so what I did here is I assumed that your client service offering is $5,000, and you're able to fulfill on those at an average of 1 every 2 weeks. Now, of course, a lot of things change with a lot of different offers, and depending on what you do, whether you're like copywriter at ad agency or you're like some health business or coach or consultant or something, like lots of different things can change, right? But this assumes that for every $5,000 client you can fulfill at least once every 2 weeks. And what is the process just with like sheer manual prospecting of going in and creating that business from scratch? Well, I'm only going to share in this case what I called a bad case scenario using premeditatio malorum, which is a stoicism concept about like imagining the bad things that can happen. Now, there's probably a worst case scenario that's much worse than this. Like nobody wants to buy what you're offering, right? But when I look at client businesses that are at least successful enough to survive, like this is kind of a bad case scenario. And in the training, I'd go through a good case scenario and some tips and good news that can make it even better than the good case scenario. But for this one, I just want to look at like assuming that you have something that people want to buy, and assuming that you're able to find people who are qualified prospects for your offering. What is the process going to look like in order to build a $120,000 a year business with a $5,000 service offering? Well, you just have to ask a bunch of questions. So if your goal is to close 1 new client every 2 weeks, then ask like, how many offers do you need to make on consultation calls? And this goes through like the entire process that I teach in Client Getting Blueprint. So I'm not going to go into that full process here, but this assumes that you're pulling people through the process that we set up in the previous milestones of the Client Getting Blueprint. So how many offers do you need to make? Well, if we assume a 50% conversion rate for offers made to qualified prospects, meaning somebody got on the phone with you and you either qualified them as a prospect or disqualified them as a prospect. So we assume that this is just out of everybody that you have qualified as a prospect after speaking with them on the phone, that you convert half of them into paying clients. Well, then you need to make 2 offers every 2 weeks to close 1 client every 2 weeks. 2 offers every 2 weeks closes 1 client every 2 weeks. Well, you're not going to make offers to everybody that you get on the phone with following my process, because part of the reason you get them on the phone is to actually figure out if they're a fit to either qualify or disqualify them. So how many calls do you need to make? Do you need to have to make 2 offers? Well, you can pretty safely assume that 25% of calls are going to get offers. This is somebody who was a qualified enough prospect to be interested in booking a call with you to have a conversation about your service, about the the problem that they have, the challenge that they're facing, that you have promised to solve. So 25%, we're assuming that 25% of the people that you speak with are qualified to actually just make an offer, right? Not even to close, qualified that you can make an offer to them. Well, assuming that's the case, assuming you can get 1 in 4 to the point where it makes sense to make an offer, then you need to have 8 calls every 2 weeks for closing 1 new client every 2 weeks. How many prospects schedule calls? Well, if we assume that you follow the prospecting methods that I recommend, you're going to find it's fairly easy that to get 20% of your targeted prospects to schedule calls. So 1 in 5 of the people that you reach out to and start a conversation with around being able to solve a specific problem, a challenge that they have, 1 in 5 of them is going to schedule a call with you. So again, in order to close 1 new client every 2 weeks, you need to make 2 offers every 2 weeks, which is going to require you to have 8 calls with prospects every 2 weeks, which is going to require you to reach 40 targeted prospects every 2 weeks, which means you need to reach 4 targeted prospects every day. Not all of them have to be brand new. In fact, there is a lot of value in reaching out to the same prospects over and over again, as long as you don't feel like a pest the way that you do it. And if you follow my methods in the Client Getting Blueprint, you don't feel like a pest. But if you do this, and your math is at least as good as this, you're going to be able to build a $120,000 a year client business. Now, the reality is that a better offer, you could charge more. You could, so if you have a better offer, you could charge more. If you are more automated, or you have parts of your offer that require less hands-on work, you could actually serve more than 1 client every 2 weeks. There are things you could do if you get better at closing or making sure that you have more qualified prospects on the line. You can make offers to a higher percentage of the people that you speak with. There are lots of different elements here that you can tweak and that you can improve to make this an even more profitable business. But like in terms of, hey, I just want to start from nothing, and following like a bad case scenario where my conversion rates aren't super high or anything like that, like what's it going to take for me to build a $120,000 a year client business? And going through this math, it's reaching out to 4 targeted prospects every day. If you reach out to 4 targeted prospects every workday, and the math works out, then you're able to build this $120,000 a year client business. So like, that's the math. And if you go through that thinking, and then you go through the process of like, who do I need to reach out to? Or this is possible. And the better your system, the more easy you may find it, because you're going to find that you're probably actually better at selling than this, or you're reaching better qualified prospects, or whatever. You're able to tweak this and you're able to grow your business through time. But again, I laid this out as like a bad case scenario, that if you want to make $120,000 per year, that's the work that you have to put in. And you know, like, you can think of building a client business, building a successful client business, as being something difficult and hard. But the more that you do to break down the very specific steps, and the more that you create a process and follow the process, the easier you can find it to be. And I don't know if your client business would grow to $120,000 a year. I don't know if you would do things that would make it a $12 million a year business or bigger. Like it's going to vary dramatically, but it's still going to follow effectively the same process. And I thought that it would be interesting and informative and worth sharing, to just give you that slice into what the Client Getting Blueprint is, and the system itself is like it's built to lay the entire foundation for a successful client business. And when I publish Milestone 4 later this week, you're going to have the entire foundation for launching a successful client business, and taking like reaching out to prospects who don't know you, figuring out who's interested in having a conversation, having a process in place to book the conversations, understanding what you need to say during those conversations, and like making an offer to those clients that's offering to solve a problem, a challenge that they are facing. And the client getting blueprint, like that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to help you build that from scratch. And if you want to learn more, the link is in the description. If you have questions or comments or thoughts about this, like feel free to leave a comment below. Also click that like button if you feel like this has been at all valuable to you, so you can get more content like this. Also, so that the magical algorithms of the internet will find more people like you to share it with. And if you know people who would get value out of this, you can share it with them directly. Also, make sure you follow me here, click subscribe. Also follow me at breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com. Where I deliver content like this Monday through Friday, building your business, marketing, copywriting, selling, and more. My name is Roy Furr. This has been a video issue of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. And I hope you've gotten a lot of value, and I look forward to seeing you again in your next video. I'll see you soon. Bye.